the grade above. All right, notes 9. Does everyone have a calculator? Notice that we are now in radian mode. Chubb, how do you know it's radian? Because this is not a degree. If it doesn't have a degree symbol, it's a radian. And then it says, depending on the textbook, sometimes it looks like a cosine bx plus c. If it looks like this, you have to factor out a b so you can figure out your shift. No big deal, guys. Relax. The concepts are the same, so don't freak out. All right, so we have this equation here, and I'm going to write y equals, and the cosine is all we know right now. So we know that for cosine, we're just looking at the peak to figure out the shift because the peak needs to be on the y-axis. So we're going to say a cosine, open parenthesis, b, open parenthesis, x minus c, close, close, plus d. It's just like when you were in algebra. The a stands for amplitude, so that's like a vertical stretch or compress. The b is like a horizontal stretch or compress. The c is your shift, how many times it moves left or right, and the d is a vertical shift, how many times it moves up or down. It's just like algebra. And this is just for waves. So yeah, I think you'll be able to pick this up really quick, Vaquera, because it's pretty not that bad. Just look at the last notes that we had, and I'll give you a copy. I have it somewhere. All right, so yeah, well, they're on my channel. I don't know if they're on Canvas, but I'll post it on Canvas too, just in case. All right, sorry, my YouTube fans, just discussing some business. All right, here you go. All right, let's just start. So what's the scale on this? It looks like it's going by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, both the x and y scale. So it looks like I have a high of 5, and it looks like I have a low of 1. And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So this is a 1 because I see a 10 way over here. That other peak is at 11. And I think that's all I need. If you want to know where the middle is at, it's the middle between 1 and 5, which is 3. You can visually see that it's 3, but in case you didn't know that, by the way, the midline or your sinusoidal axis, that's a D, right? In case you didn't know that, you could always just do this. You can take your 5, you can add your, that's the high, and then you add your low, and you divide by 2, and that will give you your midline. 5 plus 1 is 6, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Does everyone see how we did it? Okay, then your shift, the C is how much you shift left or right. Because we're looking at cosine, or we're looking at the parent cosine function, the parent cosine function has the peak right on the y-axis. This peak happens 1 to the right, so the C is 1 to the right. Sometimes I just put the word 1, and we're talking with respect to cosine. With respect to cosine. All right, I think we got everything that we need to know. Now we just got to figure out what the period is, so we can figure out the B here. So the period, well, I have a peak at 1, and I have another peak at 11. So 11 minus 1, so the period is 10. We're okay so far? Perfect, we got everything we need. So here we go. The equation, y equals, what's the amplitude? The amplitude is from the midline to the high point, or to the high y value, to the maximum. So what's the difference between 3 and 5, or between 5 and 3, I guess? 2, so that's my amplitude. So I'm going to write 2, and then I write cosine, open parenthesis. Now I need to figure out what the B is. You start a new line. Remember that before, B was 360 divided by period. This is if you're in degrees. Are we in degrees? We are in what? Radians. So in radians, we're going to say B is 2 pi divided by period. Because 2 pi is equivalent to 360 degrees. Are we okay with that? Okay, so we say 2 pi divided by 10. And you could leave it like that, but don't. How many times does 2 go into 10? So pi over 5 is your B. So you write pi over 5, open parenthesis. My shift was 1, so I'm going to write x minus 1. Close, close. And then I just put plus 3. And you're done. What do you guys think? We have calculators. I would like for you guys to check that this is accurate. So take your calculator. And I'm going to clear mine because there's a lot of junk in here. 712. How do you reset it just in case? second memory or second plus symbol, and then the number 7 for reset, 1 for all RAM, and 2 for reset. And then it just says RAM cleared, and it says reset. Well, it actually doesn't say the word reset, but it's reset. So here we go. I push y equals, and I just type in the equation. So it was 2 cosine, so 2 cosine, and then I put pi over 5. Oh, was it pi over 5? Yeah, it was. So I like to put the fraction feature, so I push alpha, y equals, enter, and it gives me a little fraction. Second pi over 5, and then move to the right, and then slide to the left. Okay, that was a song, but that was not funny. I apologize. X minus 1, close, close, and then I put plus 3. Don't push graph yet. Push the word window. And then here you just make it look like this. The smallest x value I have, it looks like it's -1, so I'm going to put -1 for x min. -1, enter. The biggest x value I have, let's see, that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18. So I'm going to put 18 here for x max. X scale by 1, that's fine. Y min, the smallest y value is 0, -1. On this graph, I know the smallest y value is 1, the minimum. But on this graph here, it looks like it goes all the way to -1. So I'll put -1. And then y max, let's see, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like 7. So 7. And then y scale, that's fine. Leave the x resolution and delta x alone. And there it is. Cool or not cool? Yeah, if you want to see your midline, well, I don't want to see it this time. So let's check to see that it's accurate. I know that I have a peak at 1. And I know I have a minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a minimum at 6. So look, from here, push the trace button and just push 1, enter. Are you at a max at 1? Yeah. Since I already pushed trace, are you guys okay? No, let me know. Did the graph not look like that? Or all right, does your y equals look like this? Make sure you have 2 parentheses on this side. Make sure it's a minus and not a negative on this right there. Maybe it's a window. Oh, I deleted the whole thing? Okay, we'll go over there right now. So here's my window. All right, here we go. Trace. Trace. 6. Enter. And then look at that. Y equals 1. Yeah, be careful with your parentheses, guys. When you push the cosine button, it already opens one for you. All right, I think we're good. Look at all that beautiful work. Are you happy? Okay. All right, here we go. Example 2. And we're going to go slow, so don't worry. It says, find the period, amplitude, phase displacement, and sinusoidal axis. Relax, that just means midline. Use these features to sketch a graph, confirm with your calculator. Okay, I'm just going to go down the alphabet. The A, or I guess I'll write it way over here. Amplitude. The amplitude is 5. The B is 2, so we'll figure out the period from that in a little bit. The C, because it's cosine, is pi over 4 to the right. Sometimes I just write pi over 4. And the D is 8. Is everyone okay? All right, the period. So I'm going to write period. I know period is 2 pi divided by B. So 2 pi divided by 2. So I get a period of pi. Are we still okay? All right, something that helps. I'm going to put the high y value. So I'm going to put high y. And I'll put the low y. So how do we figure those values out? It's the midline plus amplitude. The midline is 8, and I add 5. What's 8 plus 5? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the high y value is 13. That's y equals 13. My low y value, 8, and I subtract 5. What's that? 8 minus 5? 3. So this is my lowest I'll ever be, 3, and my highest I'll ever be is 13. That's where all the max and mins happen. So here we go. I'm going to make a grid. I have plenty of space down here. Plenty of space. So I know that I'm above the x-axis the whole time. So I'm going to exaggerate quadrant 1 like so. I'm going to call this number 3, and I'm going to go. I'm going to call this 8. I'm going to call this guy way up here 13. You don't have to do the sound effects. I just have a bad habit of doing my sound effects since I was in high school, so it's remained with me ever since. Are we okay so far? Okay. I know that because it's cosine, I have a peak at pi over 4. So I'm going to call pi over 4. I'm going to call pi over 4 right there. Sorry that I said there like that, right there. So put a point at pi over 4 comma 13. And I repeat every pi. So that's pi over 4. 4 of those pieces needs to be pi. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to say that's pi, but I don't want pi. I'm going to add pi to that. So I'm going to add a little more. Okay, right there. This has to be 5 pi over 4. And at 5 pi over 4, I put a point up here. Chav, I do not know how you did that. How did you get 5 pi over 4? Okay, that's you guys asking questions. All right, go to the side. Remember that the period was pi? So you go pi over 4 plus pi to figure out the next max, because that's your period. And then all you do is a common denominator. So because I have a 4 in the bottom, you just put a 4 in the top. See, 4 pi over 4 is still pi. And what's 4 pi plus 1 pi? 5 pi. Keep the denominator 4. So do you guys see how I got the 5 pi over 4? Okay, this repeats every pi, guys. So where do I have another high? What's my next one? Oh, man. Yeah, 9 pi over what? 4. And 9 pi over 4, put a point right at the high point. Let's do one more. So the next one's going to be, yep, because you're just adding 4 to the numerator, or 4 pi technically. Does everyone see how we got that? Okay. So catch up to here. So we're going to go slow, guys. We're going slow. All right. We're using geometry now, just symmetry. In between my two high points is a low point. So right smack in the middle, visually, look for the middle, and it looks like here's the middle, and I put a point. Chav, what coordinate is that? I don't know. Let's find out. What is in the middle? So don't make life hard. I guess you could, well, I guess let's do it the hard way first. You could say pi over 4, and then plus, instead of adding a whole pi, because that's my period, add pi over 2. And then common denominator, so 2 over 4. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so 3 pi over 4. So you could say that's 3 pi over 4. Maybe that's the hard way. Here's the easy way. Don't worry, we'll go slow. Here's the easy way, guys. So everyone focus real quick. Don't worry about the denominator. This is 1 pi. This is 5 pi. What's in the middle? So you know what? Disregard the pi. This is 1, this is 5. What's in the middle between 1 and 5? The number 3. 1, 2, 3. It's 2 away. 3 is 2 away from 1. 3 is 2 away from 5. So the number 3. So 3, and then just put the pi over 4. Do you guys see how we did it? Okay. So keep doing that. Now we can just add pi to each 3 pi over 4. So right smack in the middle, That one is happening at 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pi over 4. And another one right smack in the middle. And that one's happening at 9, 10, 11. At 11 pi over 4. Do you guys see how we did it? Anything crazy? Okay, check it out. Right between the high and the low, I have a point of inflection. Right in the middle. Does that make sense? Because it's all symmetric. So visually, just looking at it, oh, the middle between the high and the low, it's in the midline. I have a point of inflection, put a point right there. We're going to figure out what coordinate that is. What's in the middle between 1 and 3? You can say it. I know it reduces, but you can say right now just 2. So this is 2 pi over 4, and 2 pi over 4 reduces to pi over 2. So this coordinate, I'm going to erase it, and I'm going to put pi over 2. And don't worry, I want good notes, so I'll put here that it's technically 2 pi, well, that it really is 2 pi over 4, but that reduces to pi over 2. Does that make sense? What's in the middle between 3 pi and 5 pi? Yeah, pi. 4 pi over 4, but 4 pi over 4 reduces to pi. Does that make sense? Put a point of inflection at pi. All right, those are the only ones that I'm going to put the grid of. The rest, I'm just going to visually just put them in. The rest, I'm just going to visually put them in. In between the high and the low, put a point of inflection right at the midline. Point of inflection right at the midline. All right. So right now, these are all the dots you should have. Cool or not cool? Wherever you have a high, put an upside down bowl. Aim it towards your points of inflection. Wherever you have a low, put a bowl. Chav, what do you mean? This is what I call upside down bowls. It's a bowl. And wherever I have a low, a bowl. Aim it towards your points of inflection. And look at that beautiful graph. Hey, Ms. Wersberg. How do we feel? Are we okay? All right, now we're going to check it to see if it works, to see if everything is perfect. Take this equation and type this into your calculator. So here it is. Here's my calculator. And I already forgot it, short-term memory. What was it? 5 cosine alpha y equals, what do I have on the top? Pi? No? Oh, it was just 2. Come on, guys. You guys got to help me out. 2, parenthesis, what do I have? X minus 1 minus pi over 4. So alpha y equals, I like to put the pi like this. You don't have to. You can just put pi divided by 4. Pi over 4, and I'm going to close it twice. Close, and what was my midline? Plus 8. Okay, here we go. I'm going to look at my window. My x min looks like I go all the way to pi over 4. I'm going to start it at, I'll start it at 0. So 0. X max, it goes all the way to 13 pi over 4. I don't want to go, well, I guess we could go a little bit to the right, but I'm going to go ahead and end it at 13 pi over 4. It's going to be a decimal. That's fine. 13 pi over 4. Enter. X scale, let's go by pi, which was the period, 3.14. Y min, 3, let's put 0. I just want to go a little bit below the minimum. And the y max was 13, so I'm going to put 15. Or 16 if you want to be symmetric. Oh, 16. 3 away from the x-axis, 3 away from the high. Okay. Y scale by 1, that's fine. Push graph. And there it is. Cool or not cool? Oh, you know what? I want to show the midline. How do I show the midline? Go to y2 and just put 8. Why did I do that? Because check it out, guys. I'm going to push the trace button. I know I have a max at pi over 4. So look at this. Look how awesome this is. I push trace. I push second pi over 4. And I push enter. Look at the y value. Am I at 13? Yep, it works. The next one, I'm going to check the midline. That should be at pi over 2. So I better be at the point of inflection, which is the midline. The sinusoids have a point of inflection at your midline. So I better be at the midline at pi over 2. So I'm going to push second pi over 2, and I push enter, and look at that. I'm right at that midline at 8. Now I'm going to check my low. My low better be at 3 pi over 4. So I'm going to type 3 pi, since I already did the trace, I don't have to push it again. 3 pi over 4, push enter, and look at that. It says 3. It works. This is accurate. I'm done. Cool or not cool? All right, so let's do one more together. Look at your activity. And the reason why we're going to do one more together is because I didn't put one with a pi as your B. These are actually, so when you look at this, you're like, man, Chad, this one has a pi in your B. How am I going to figure this out? These are actually easier because your period is not going to have a pi in it. It's just going to be a nice, pretty number. So here we go. It says, find the period, amplitude, phase displacement, and sinusoidal axis. Use this information to sketch a graph. You may use your calculator to check your graph. All right, so here we go, guys. The A is 4. The B is pi over 3. We'll figure out, we're going to get the period from that. The C is 2 to the right for cosine. And the D is 5. Are we okay? All right, here you go. Here's your period. Period equals 2 pi divided by pi over 3. Keep, change, flip. 2 pi times 3 over pi. The pi's cancel out. What's 2 times 3? So that is your period. It repeats every 6 radians. So every 6. Cool or not cool? And then I always like to put this because I think it helps. The high y. So the high y, take your midline, 5, and add the amplitude. What's 5 plus 4? 9. And your low y. Take the midline, 5, and subtract 4. What's 5 minus 4? 1. So that, I think that helps you guys. So here we go. I take this space. I got a lot of space. I'm above the x-axis at all times. So I'm going to go, and let's see, what's my shift? 2, perfect. So I'm going to go, I'm going to call this 1. I'm going to call this 5. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to call this 9. I know that I have a maximum for cosine. I know that I have a maximum at 2. So I'm going to call this guy 2. And at 2, I'm going to put a point at 2, 9. There's my point. I know that I repeat every what? Yep. So I'm going to go 6 to the right. So I'm going to be now at 8. I'm going to call 8. I'm going to call 8 like right here. 8. And I'll put a point at 8, 9. I'm going to repeat, trying to make it symmetric. So I'm going to try to keep the scale. Just use, I gave you guys rulers, the ones who have rulers. But if you don't have a ruler, just use your hands to do a scale. It doesn't have to be perfect. So 8 plus 6, where am I at now? 14. At 14, put a point. I'm going to do one more. What's 14 plus 6? 20. At 20, put a point at 9. It's not perfect. I can tell mine's a little bit leaning, but that's fine. All right, in between the two max, I have a min. So right smack in the middle visually, there it is. Put a point. Where does that happen? Well, if the period was 6, I'm going to add 3 to the 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5. That's at 5. And now just add 6 to that 5. Or just, you know, bam, 11, 8, 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, point. The next one is at 17. Right between, bless you. Oh, that was not a, that is awkward. Sorry, miss. Right between the max and the min, I have a point of inflection, and it happens at the midline. So between the 2 and the 5, it is going to be a decimal. What's the right smack in the middle between 2 and 5? Yeah, 3.5. That's at 3.5. At 3.5, put a point. What's smack in the middle between 5 and 8? 6.5. You said 6.5, right? At 6.5, put a point at the midline. Those are the only ones I'm going to check. The others, just go ahead and just do it visually. Put it right smack in the middle, right smack in the middle, right smack in the middle. I have enough points. If it's a max, upside down bowl. If it's a min, a bowl, and aim the little, what do you want to call it, like the little legs or whatever? Aim them towards the points of inflection. So just do that. Try and make the midline where it changes concavity from concave up to concave down and vice versa. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. We're not looking for perfection. Looks okay. I've drawn better graphs, but it looks okay. We're going to check it with our calculator. So take your calculator out. I'm going to type that in, which I already forgot it. What was the equation? 4 cosine pi over 3. So let me put pi over 3. So pi over 3, open parenthesis, x minus 2, close, close, plus 5. And then I'm going to put 5 here for my midline. Window, let's see, I'm going to say 0, 0, and then for max, I go all the way to what, 20? So 20, and then x scale, I'm going to go by 5. It doesn't matter the x scale. Y min, I'm going to say 0 and 10. 0 and 10. All right, let's see. It looks good. I feel good. It looks good. There's a song that, okay, yeah. How do I look? Feel good. Damn, it's, you know what song I'm talking about? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, trace. I know I have a max at 2, push enter, and yep, there it is, 9. I know I have a point of inflection at 3.5, so now I can just push 3.5. It better be perfect. 3.5, enter, and look at that, right at 5. I know that I have a minimum. I already forgot. Is it at 5? I have a minimum at 5. Push enter, and there it is, 1. How do we feel? Cool or not cool? Okay, one last thing, because I'm not insulting your intelligence. I know some of you can look at this and really quick tell you what the period is. I know some of you, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry. Here's what I'm talking about. I know that some of you are probably like, Chav, you told me that that's your B, and I'm like, yeah. And I know that B is 2 pi divided by period, and I'm like, yeah. Well, I have a pi over 3. If I turn that into 2 pi, so times 2 times 2, then that's 2 pi over 6, so then I know my period is 6. I know some of you can do that mentally. If you want to do that, I guess, but make sure I would still like write down the information. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry. Just do keep, change, flip, and you'll get your period. Cool or not cool? All right, guys, fabulous. You guys did awesome. Just take care of this activity. Let's finish that up. You should have enough time. You got a lot of time, and that's it.